Hello and welcome back to KSP, The Quest for Everything. Actually, this is probably going to just be an entire new series, because as you can see on my alarm list, everything is gone except for my transfer windows. There was a small problem with the save file I had before. It corrupted and ended up losing all of my information I had. My Elu ship completely vanished, and that was not a happy thing for me. So, I decided, since I made that little teaser about going to Eve and showcasing my ship, I'm going to launch it today, even though it is a year away. I want to get it off the ground and up into space, that way it's out of the way and off my checklist. So, with that, I'm going to launch it, and I'm going to do I'm going to speed it up, basically, and do a post-commentary over the launch. And when you watch the little clock that's up here when crafts are launching, you'll see why I want to do that. Also, this is just $1 million craft. And only 17 stages and only 702 parts. Only. So, hopefully, this will not blow up the game when I launch it. We will see. And go. There it is. Took a little while to load, and actually it is still loading. There it is. Complete with little smoke coming off the engines. And just so you can get a scale of how big this craft is, including its little plume up here. Go ahead and retract the ladder system, so we don't need that open. And I'm going to turn on the brakes, because I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's got landing wheels. That's right, it's got gear bay for landing gear. But you'll see that once it gets out to Eve. So I'm going to throttle up, and from here on out, everything will be in post-commentary. Okay, well, we've just started taking off with this craft, and something I realized as I was starting to lift off, I don't know if you can see it or not, I didn't turn on the SAS right away. It seemingly either took too long as it was loading and I hit the T key, and it just did not acknowledge. It should be coming up here pretty quick. This launch, though, is very painful to sit through the entirety of it. And I couldn't see doing a full launch. There you can see my shadow slowly crawling. We're not even up 2 kilometers yet. And still under 100 meters a second. Now this ship, I didn't actually design it. I did add a few things to it. I added another set of landing wheels for the Eve dropship. But I actually found this on the KSP forums and decided I'd try it out and see. It's a ship that was built, I think, in 2013. Yeah, I think that's when it was built, because that's when the NASA parts came out. And it still works to this day. It's a nice all-in-one ship. It goes, basically the first 2 stages here are your launch system from Kerbin. Then you've got your big transfer stage that has, I think, 24 nukes, if I'm looking at my screen right. I'm looking at a very tiny replay window right now, so it makes it a little hard for me to see. The parachutes, now I thought this was an ingenious idea. They're on escape towers. So once you get down and actually are on the surface, you can jettison them away. Oh, there's a separation into the next stage. And you can hear chatter really sped up, so it sounds even more like gibberish. But yeah, the very top nuclear engine, that's the entire return stage. That impresses me. That little bit of fuel right there will get you all the way home. And this one's a legit Eve lander. It's actually got the lander can. It's not a seat. Because I do not like just having a seat. I don't think that's... I don't know. I don't think that's proper in the way of doing a craft. I think that's kind of cheating. On an airless body, I can see maybe having a seat. But on one that's got an atmosphere, it would crush you to death, I believe. I could be wrong, though. And we are nearing orbit. Should be... Alright, we're just about 50,000 or 50 kilometers up. Starting to go sideways and just letting that burn out. Now that first stage and this second stage here should be enough to get this craft up into 100 kilometers. There's the separation. And I'm going to do something kind of silly here. I actually ignited the nukes just to see how long of a burn it was. Because it was saying it was going to be more than a minute long. I'm sure you can see that. You can also note the time up here at how long it took me just to get this into orbit. And I was sitting there just... I couldn't think of any other way to do this. And I figured make it 7 minute... Or, well, almost a 10-minute long video of just a launch into just a 5-minute version of itself. So here comes my little screw up. Oh no, it must have already happened. There it is. And then reload. But yeah, I had to do that just because I couldn't think of any other way to... I could have did the math, but I was kind of tired when I did that. But here goes the nukes. I love the hot rockets look. Love how it makes different engines have different color effects. Except the Poodle. The Poodle doesn't have that great of effect. I think that should have a little green trail coming out of it. But with that, I'm going to actually cut it back to me. So enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, well, as you can see, this craft is now in orbit around Kerbin. And let's put us back into free mode. As you might have noticed, I also have cool rockets and hot rockets both installed. And we're in a nice 10-kilometer parking orbit. And this window here is for when we're at 1,000 meters above, or 100 meters above, or 100,000 meters above Kerbin. Or 100 kilometers, excuse me. And this will be ready to go for a 100-kilometer interception with Eve. Although I'll tweak it and make it a little less. Now this lower stage here, this is what's getting us to Eve. This section up until here, and I'll probably go over this in the voiceover. This little thing here actually gets decoupled once we're at Eve. This little section here, or no, yeah, it gets decoupled here, I'm sorry. But this little section here, that's my return craft. That's it. These parachutes and this. This whole stage here is the lander for Eve and the ascent stage. Now if you notice up here, it took almost 12 minutes for this thing to launch. So you guys are probably going to see this in like a 5-minute clip. Let me know what you think of launches like this, and hopefully I'll start with like the Duna craft and get that up here, because I already have something in orbit for it, which is almost at a 100-kilometer orbit as well. I have the Mega Pusher. Now this is for the modded part system. These little tanks here, these actually contain fuel. So this whole stage is all fuel. And this rocket also back here is another version of the nuke, which is the equivalent of 4 nuclear engines tied together, which gives this a pretty good thrust to weight ratio of 0.3. But this is what's going to be used to push my Duna craft to Duna, and also probably to Ike. And I might actually use this kind of stage for another mission. I don't know, I have to see how well it works with Duna so far. But with that, I'm going to call this an episode, since we are now getting back on track. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one, so please remember to rate, favorite, and subscribe. Comment, of course, as always, and until next time, have fun.